Imagine a food that once sustained entire human communities for thousands of years, growing wild across forests, parks, and roadsides, requiring no planting and no fertilizer. A source of energy substantial enough to help people survive the harshest famines. In the worst years, the calories it provided even exceeded those of potatoes rich in healthy fats, complete protein, and abundant minerals. Yet today, this thing is treated as if it does not exist. If anyone mentions it, people think only of squirrels of forests or of something poisonous if eaten raw. What is strange is that it never disappeared. It still falls to the ground every year quietly, consistently, right beneath our feet. It appears everywhere, but no longer appears in kitchens. Not because it lacks nutrition, not because it is dangerous, but because it threatens a massive industry. The food industry, which must make us believe that good food has to be bought, has to be grown seasonally, and has to be depended on. While before humans relied on wheat, corn, and monotonous fields, there existed a food source that could not be monopolized, could not be packaged, and was nearly impossible to control. And precisely because of that, it was pushed out of collective memory. This is the story of Uri the acorn, the fruit of ancient oak trees. Welcome to today's video. If you are new to the channel, this is where we explore natural superfoods that the system has deliberately forgotten. Things that grow on their own are free but are pushed aside because they do not generate profit. And to those who have followed before, thank you. Those who understand that when nature provides abundance, but humans restrict or forget it, there is always a reason behind it. Before we dive deeper into the journey of the acorn, from ancient prominence to modern obscurity, please subscribe and turn on the notification bell now. We will explore simple ways to leach tannins at home, how to turn it into flour bread, porridge jelly, and why this could be a sustainable food source we are overlooking. Let's begin, because acorns are still falling all around your feet waiting to be picked up. Long before humans knew wheat, before the concept of farmland or agricultural taxes existed, acorns were known by a very different name, the bread of the forest. In California, indigenous tribes such as the Miwok Pomochumash, communities of hunter-gatherers understood clearly that within each acorn was enough energy to sustain people through the winter, treating acorns as a staple food for more than 10,000 years. They harvested tons each autumn, soaked them in streams, or used clay to remove tannins, ground them into mush, thick porridge, or baked them into acorn bread. For some tribes, acorns provided up to 50 to 70% of annual caloric intake. They also had a sacred legend, Oak Tree Woman, the woman of the oak tree, who sacrificed her body to transform into acorns, bringing eternal food to humans, similar to the motif of sacrifice for abundance found in many cultures. They managed oak forests with controlled fire, lightly burning, to encourage greater acorn production, a sustainable agricultural system long before Europeans arrived. But then, white settlers came. They cut down oak forests to plant wheat, a crop easier to plow, easier to tax, easier to sell. Acorns were labeled as primitive food, backward, from a sacred source of life to push to the margins. In medieval Europe, acorns were famine food. During years of crop failure, periods such as the Black Death or the 30 Years' War, when wheat disappeared, people returned to the oak forests. Even during the Hunger Winter of 1944 to 1945, in the Netherlands under German occupation, 22,000 people starved to death as grain was confiscated and food was strictly controlled. Many families secretly dug up acorns from forests. It did not save everyone, but it saved those who knew how to use it. Moving to colonial America, settlers learned how to use acorns from indigenous people, but gradually replaced them with wheat. In the Alentejo region of Portugal in the 20th century, the story took on a different tone. During periods of poverty and war, poor people gathered acorns to eat, but this was forbidden on large estates. Acorns were considered food for pigs, especially for raising pigs that produced the famous bellota ham. Many people were fined, even imprisoned, for stealing acorns. A food that once fed humans was now legally protected for livestock. And then when acorn-fed pork became a delicacy, acorns disappeared from the everyday diet of humans themselves. From Europe, the Americas to East Asia, such as China, Korea, Japan, acorns were once a sacred food source. Archaeological sites in China, such as Kuoqiao, Tianluoshan, show that tons of acorns were processed thousands of years ago, ground into flour made into staple foods before rice came to dominate. In Korea today, the tradition still lives. Dotori muk, a cool jelly made from acorn starch, remains common in traditional cuisine. Now try bending down to pick up a small acorn beneath the tree. Its smooth, glossy brown shell, the classic acorn cap, hugging it tightly like a tiny crown. And inside lies a real treasure. Not only visually appealing, this acorn is the product of a perfectly functioning living system, the oak tree, a perennial species remarkably long-lived, capable of standing for hundreds, even thousands of years, producing fruit reliably every autumn without anyone sowing seeds, plowing soil, or irrigating. The secret lies in the kernel rich in carbohydrates, complete protein, healthy fats similar to olive oil, and a wide range of minerals. But nature wisely wrapped it in tannins, a natural astringent compound that protects the seed from pests and wildlife. Tannins make acorns intensely bitter if eaten raw, but they are also easily defeated simply soaking in cold running water for a few days, changing the water frequently, or boiling repeatedly. The tannins dissolve, leaving a mildly sweet, pleasantly nutty flavor. And from here, a single oak tree becomes an endless food factory. You can grind the kernels into excellent gluten-free flour, making crisp bread, soft pancakes, warm, mush porridge, even homemade pasta. Roast well-leached acorns, grind them finely, and you have a rich coffee substitute high in antioxidants that sustained countless people during wartime. Press oil from the kernels. Clear acorn oil rich in oleic acid, suitable for cooking salad dressings or skincare, comparable to high-grade olive oil. And that is not all. Young leaves of certain white oak species can be harvested as fresh salad greens, lightly astringent and vitamin-rich. The bark can be decocted into a drink, a traditional remedy for diarrhea, sore throats, and rapid wound tightening. One tree, one endless source of life. No annual seeds, no plowing, no chemical fertilizers. Simply by standing there, the oak quietly provides flour, cooking oil, coffee greens, medicine, all from the fruits falling abundantly at your feet. This is not a distant dream. This is a reality our ancestors lived with for thousands of years. And now, as the world longs for sustainable food, free from fragile supply chains, the acorn is the answer already lying beneath our feet. Look again at the acorn, a true superfood freely given by nature. In 100 grams of acorns, you get about 387 calories. Dense energy far higher than potatoes, only 77 calories per 100 grams, and nearly equivalent to wheat flour, about 364 calories. Carbohydrates account for 41 grams, mainly complex starches and resistant starch. A form of starch that resists rapid digestion, helps you feel full longer, stabilizes blood sugar, and is ideal for long days without complete meals. What about protein? Around 6 to 8 grams per 100 grams. Significantly higher than common grains such as white rice or refined wheat flour, and it is a complete protein with all essential amino acids. Gluten-free, perfect for people with sensitivities or those following a clean diet. The fat content is excellent, 24 grams, but mostly healthy fats. Omega-9 oleic acid, comparable to olive oil, balanced omega-6 and low saturated fat. These fats support cardiovascular health, brain function, and skin, making acorn oil the olive oil of the forest. After tannin leaching, the original astringent compounds become powerful antioxidants, similar to polyphenols in green tea or wine, helping reduce inflammation, protect cells, and even support gut health. Minerals are abundant, high potassium at about 539 milligrams, helping maintain electrolyte balance, magnesium, around 62 milligrams, supporting muscles and nerves, iron, calcium, and many other micronutrients, all from a small seed. Meanwhile, potatoes, low calories, high carbohydrates, but rapidly digestible, easily causing blood sugar spikes. Wheat flour, slightly higher protein, but contains gluten, low in healthy fats, dependent on annual agriculture. Acorns, calorie-dense, long-lasting satiety due to high fiber, good gut health, thanks to resistant starch and transformed tannins, sustained hunger resistance. Ideal for times of food insecurity or sustainable lifestyles. Acorns do not only sustain the body, They support long-term health, stable energy, digestive support, cardiovascular protection, and nutrition without dependence on industrial supply chains. Pause for a moment and look more broadly. Acorns are not just food for humans. They are part of a living ecosystem that modern annual agriculture can never replace. A single oak tree can live for hundreds of years, even thousands in some species, standing firm through storms, droughts, and climate change. Its massive, deep root system anchors the soil, prevents severe erosion, preserves soil fertility, and reduces flooding by allowing rainwater to infiltrate slowly into the ground. Its broad canopy filters air, absorbs enormous amounts of carbon dioxide, making it one of the most effective carbon sequestering trees, and helps mitigate climate change. The soil beneath oak canopies is rich in organic matter, retains water more effectively, and supports mycorrhizal fungi and microorganisms, creating a complex underground living network. And then, acorns fall. Not only seeds for human foragers, they are a critical food source for hundreds of animal species: squirrels, deer, bears, jays, even wild boar, especially during mast years when oaks produce abundant crops, simultaneously creating massive feasts for entire ecosystems. Acorns are energy-dense, helping animals survive harsh winters, and the acorns that are not eaten germinate, regenerating forests naturally, without human planting, without machinery. By contrast, wheat, or any annual crop such as corn or rice, lives for only one season. It requires annual plowing, chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and continuous irrigation. Soil is eroded, fertility is lost, carbon is released, and biodiversity declines. When the harvest ends, the land is left bare, vulnerable to erosion and drought. And an oak tree, it stands there across multiple human generations. This is truly sustainable agriculture. One oak tree gives us food oil, flour, coffee, and in return it asks only this: do not cut it down, do not forget it. So why was a superfood like the acorn, free, abundant, sustainable, erased? The reason lies precisely in the traits that make it too perfect for nature, but too inconvenient for the human-built system. First, it is not uniform, not standardized. Acorns ripen scattered across the season, not all at once. You cannot predict them, precisely cannot plan large-scale harvests on a fixed schedule. And then, tannins. These natural astringent compounds make acorns intensely bitter, even toxic if eaten raw without proper leaching. In many places, people did not know how to process them. Just one experience of eating them raw was enough for acorns to be labeled poisonous animal feed or food of the poor. To be edible, they must be soaked and rinsed by hand, with water changed daily, time-consuming, incompatible with fast-paced modern life. Second, they are difficult to fully mechanize. Acorns fall naturally beneath trees. You cannot control production, cannot build centralized supply chains, cannot apply industrial machinery to optimize profit. And here lies the greatest irony: we replaced a free forest food source with crops that require constant investment. Wheat and corn need annual plowing, fertilizers, pesticides, irrigation, and seeds purchased every season. They are easy to tax. Governments and merchants can control production, storage, and trade. Easy to sell on global markets. Easy to accumulate wealth from. While acorns, they grow wild, belong to no one, generate no taxes, and produce no massive profits for the food industry. When Europeans arrived in the Americas, they cut down ancient oak forests to plant wheat. Not because wheat was better, but because wheat delivered control over land, labor, and taxation. They replaced a self-sustaining forest system, where a single oak tree provides food across generations without intervention, with fields that demand relentless investment, dependence on chemicals, machinery, and markets. Something free and sustainable was replaced by something expensive and fragile, yet easy to control and monetize. We traded the freedom of green forests for dependence on the industrial food system. Acorns are still falling abundantly beneath our feet, but we have forgotten how to pick them up. So what happens if this story does not stop at remembering the past, but instead begins with a very small action in the present? Planting an oak tree does not require complex techniques. Just pick up a few mature acorns from a park or a nearby forest, just one healthy acorn place, the seed in a bag of moist sand or moist soil, Put it in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 months, a period of artificial chilling to awaken the living embryo. Then sow it into a pot with well-draining soil water moderately. The young oak will sprout within a few months, and you already have a long-term companion. It lives for hundreds of years, produces fruit every autumn without much care. A mature tree can yield thousands of acorns, enough for a family, neighbors, even many future generations to use. Of course, it is important to clearly understand the species you are planting, prioritizing low-tannin varieties such as white oak, avoiding high-tannin species like red oak if you are not certain. When harvesting, collect fallen acorns, discard damaged ones. Leach tannins by soaking in clean water, changing the water daily for 1 to 2 weeks cold. Leaching until the bitter taste disappears completely, or boil repeatedly if you want it faster. Test by tasting after leaching. No bitterness means it is safe. Plant an oak tree today. You are nourishing future generations without asking permission from anyone.
Want larger
No corporate seeds,
acorns
no chemical
is pretty
fertilizers, no dependence on supermarkets. You are reclaiming self-sufficiency from nature. If this video changes how you see
technique
forest
called
food and true
masting.
freedom,
It
like
still
it to
isn't
spread this
completely
message.
understood how
Share
the
it with
trees
relatives and
coordinate this
friends,
effort.
especially those still buying expensive bread while the forest is full of free bread. And subscribe now, turn on the bell, because the next treasure is waiting: other hidden superfoods, other secrets of nature that the system does not want you to know. Thank you for watching until the end. Go outside, pick up an acorn, and start your own rebellion. See you in the next one.